Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, it's a half hour after midnight on this President's Day now. And I am here to do a video. I'm just making sure everything's adjusted right. It is. But do a response video. You pretty much see the title of it. It's a response to a video that recently came out, ironically, over this past week. And the video was done by one Lance J. I'm just going to call him Lance J. You see his name in the title anyway. I don't want to butcher or anything, but Lance came out recently with a video, and another person reposted it. He reposted it on his channel. Hold on, let me do something here for a second. But he reposted it on his channel recently, and he basically talked about, well, Lance basically in the video talked about his feelings, excuse me, on his feelings on Ian Flynn right now, who is currently, writing for the IDW book. And basically the title of this video is how one man's ego, Ian Flynn, is killing the Sonic the Hedgehog, is killing Sonic the Hedgehog. That's basically the title of this video. And, I can understand where, I can understand basically where Ian, where Lance and Dylan and Alex Hedgehog and all of them are coming from. I really can. Excuse me, I'm just doing something right there. But I can understand where they're coming from. I really can, because, it's like, they see someone like Ian Flynn and they're like, where's the Ian Flynn that was once a big time fan? Where's the Ian Flynn that used to, listen to the fans or give the fans what they wanted or something like that? And basically, he feels that, I'll put it this way, he basically feels that Ian Flynn is letting his ego get out of hand and is letting his ego ruin the franchise. And I don't think anybody would probably disagree with that, whatsoever. But when you listen to what he has to say, in this video, I mean, Lance brings up some good arguments. I'm not going to say he doesn't. He brings up some very good arguments. And the reason I say he brings up some very good arguments is because of the fact that, from experience, I know what Ian Flynn is like. I've never met the guy. I've only communicated with him through online. And, maybe partially what happened when they were active, or when it was active, that being the Bumble King forums, maybe it was partially my fault for partially, I should say, my fault for posting, video after video or whatever I posted as a review or whatever. Maybe it was partially my fault that I got banned on a couple of occasions, like for a few days, a week, a month, whatever. But one of the times I got banned that I can remember was when I had basically on several occasions kind of predicted what was going to happen. I mean, here's what I can remember. Basically, there were various times that I would basically point out certain scenarios that were going to happen, or I could see happening in the next few issues. And sometimes those posts that I would make, because I would make them in posts, kind of replying to other fans and everything. Most time, sometimes those posts will remain because there was no harm or anything. But then at times when I would post what I felt was going to happen, or at least guess at what was going to happen later on, from what I can recall, those posts that I would do later on, during Ian's run, they would get removed. Sometimes I would even when he would do a Q&A and he would ask us to submit questions. Basically, my question that I would get submitted would not be there. And my only opinion and thought is it's because of the fact that I kind of saw what was going to happen. I kind of guessed what was going to occur um, in the story. And I don't think he liked it. I don't think Ian Flynn liked what I had to say whatsoever. He didn't. And I don't think he liked. I don't think he liked the fact that people were guessing what he was going to do. I don't think he did, and that's why I was banned on a couple of occasions. Now, I'm not saying that I probably didn't deserve some of the banment that I got. I'm not saying that, but when I, but basically, all I was doing was just doing what any fan would do. I was just guessing. Honestly, this is the honest truth. I was just guessing what was going to happen next. I wasn't trying to, cause any trouble or anything like that. I was just, guessing what was going to occur. You know, I was just, like guessing of, oh, this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. You know, all I was doing. I wasn't trying to cause any trouble or anything, and I think people know that. I wasn't trying to do that. Um, but I think honestly, Ian just didn't like it because I noticed later on, even though I was banned, I still got to look in there and see what was going on. And I noticed that there was some people that were kind of doing something similar, and then they wouldn't get like it. How do I put this? They would ask a question, and he would not respond, or he would remove it. He himself, or he'd have one of his administrators or moderators remove the question. And it's like, or remove the post. And it's like, why? People are just expressing what they feel is going to happen. And I think, honestly, it's because, in my opinion, I believe Ian, like I said, didn't like the idea that people were guessing what was going to occur, way before the issue came out. I don't think he liked that idea. Now, here's the thing. You know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. How do I put this? It wasn't that long ago when Ian Flynn came out. Well, actually, it was several years ago. Doesn't even feel that long if you ask me. You want my opinion. Doesn't even feel like it's been that long. Um, but Ian Flynn came out uh, several years ago and said that he was going to be work. He was going to start work on. He was going to start work on. How do I put this? Um, how do I put this? Basically, Ian made the announcement that Ian Flynn basically made the announcement that he was going to be working on other projects, basically like TMNT, which was the Ninja Turtle Adventures based on the Nickelodeon CGI series, as well as some other projects. Like he was going to write for Sonic Boom. He was going to write for Sonic Boom and all that. He was going to, write for he was going to write for Sonic Boom. He was going to write for the TMNT comic. He was going to do some other things. And when I look at Ian Flynn, and I hear Lance say his ego is killing the book, and then you have people like Dylan Thomas and Alex Hedgehog and a few others kind of agreeing with him to some extent, I can probably see why they might believe that. You see, Ian, when he made that announcement that he was going to move on to other projects while at the same time working on the book of Ninja Turtles, and I think not Ninja Turtle, but Sonic, and I think this was when Sonic was still with Archie and Ian was slowly working with IDW now. I think that's kind of maybe where things started to kind of fall off a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to say Ian when he's not motivated. I'm not saying that he or his wife Aaliyah Baker or Jonathan Gray or whoever gets the opportunity. I'm not trying to say they aren't motivated to write a good Sonic story or a good Sonic story arc. You know, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying basically is what I'm saying basically is it seems that when Ian took on these other projects, that's when things started to change. Like the stories were getting longer than they should be. They weren't wrapping up as much as they should. Or when they could wrap up and all that, they just kept dragging on and on and on. And now some people will come out and say it's not really all Ian's fault. I mean, not totally Ian's fault. I mean, he was working on multiple projects, and that's true. He was. But here's the thing. When you listen to some of the things Ian Flynn, when he says during his Bumblecast, his podcast, if you will, he says he wants to get away from certain elements of Sonic. And, that's his opinion. He wants to get away from this. He wants to get away from that. That's fine. But I think overall, what I'm hearing coming out of Ian Flynn is it's not the fact that he just wants to get away from certain elements of Sonic that he feels doesn't help the comic or help the franchise at all. He's basically saying that he wants to get away from what I can tell, my opinion, is he wants to get away from being known as just the writer of Sonic and nothing more. He wants to be known as someone that not just writes for Sonic, but writes for other properties as well, like TMNT and MLP FIM and Transformers and G.I. Joe and Mask, which are currently licensed by Hasbro to IDW, along with Rom the Robot. He wants to, be known for writing for other companies like Marvel when it comes to some of the comic books like Spider-Man and X-Men and, Fantastic Four and Avengers. Same with DC. He wants to be known for contributing stories to Batman, Justice League, Superman, Wonder Woman. He wants to be known for doing all that. He wants to be known for doing all that besides just being known as the guy that writes Sonic material. And I think that's why he made, again, that announcement back when he did, when the comic was still under Archie, when the Sonic comic was still under the Archie roof, and TMNT Adventures was under IDW. He wanted, by basically acknowledging he was going to start working there or working with them, he was basically stating, look, I'm moving on. I'm moving into other areas now. So don't just, acknowledge me as the man that writes for Sonic. And maybe that's why, as some people like Lance and Dylan and all of them point out, why his ego is ruining the Sonic franchise, or if not more so, the comic of Sonic, as we speak, because, he's moving, he's not, showing as much passion and thrive and motivation as he used to. Because as crazy as this sounds, when he made that announcement that he was going to do that, he felt like he got an injection of energy again. He got a rejuvenation, shot that he needed. And I don't, again, it's just my opinion, but I think when he comes out and he says, look, I'm moving on to do this and I'm moving on to do that, he's basically saying, look, I think basically what I'm trying to say is when he goes out and he says, I'm moving on to do this now, I'm moving on to do that now, I think what he's trying to tell people, as crazy as it sounds, and I'm not defending him, I think what he's trying to say is, look, it's nice you're supporting me here, but you can also support me in my work elsewhere. But now, here's the thing. I listened to most of what Lance said in his video, and whether you like Lance or you don't, he does bring up a few good points. He does bring up, Ian Flynn, sometimes letting his ego get the best of him, and he does. There's no doubt about that. Everybody has that issue. But he brings up some other things that are kind of true that I didn't know about until I found out later. Ian Flynn kind of talking down to the fans, Jonathan Gray doing what he did, stuff like that. So, he does bring up some good points. In fact, he even brought up a very factual point when it comes to sales of the IDW book. He brings up the fact that when the IDW book began, the Sonic one that is, 2 years ago, sales were good in the first month and a half or first few months. But now all of a sudden they slid down to where I think they're barely in the top 100 or top 50. And the main point that he gets at, the main finger point that he goes towards, or the main person that gets the finger pointing for this, is Ian Flynn. Because he feels Ian Flynn is not doing what he needs to do to help make this comic good. Because he brings up the fact that a lot of the big Sonic stories that Ian has done in the recent several years, 6 years, if you will, have dragged on for too long. I think he touches upon the Mecha Sally arc, which went from 230 to 247, and some Sonic Universe issues in between, so almost a little over 50 issues. He brings up the Shadow World Crisis / Panic in the Sky arc, which was the soft retcon reboot, and he brings up the current Zombot story arc, which is going on right now. So he brings up all these, story arcs involving Sonic, and how they shouldn't have to drag on too long, and how in the past, basically these kind of stories would wrap up in 6 issues, and that's it, or within a year, and that'd be it. And he basically blames the fact that Ian's letting his ego cause this to happen, and that is partially true. But as I mentioned, I think it's also the fact that Ian's taken on other projects. He's taken on other, jobs as a comic book writer, for other, franchises and stories and companies. And whether that's a good idea to do so while you're currently working on a mega story arc for one comic book, that's only one person's opinion. I mean, me honestly, I think if you're working on creating a main story arc, or a long story arc, if you will, I think what you need to do is focus on that before you do anything else. Like if you know the story arc you're going to do is going to expand for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, then maybe what you need to do is focus mainly on that, so that you put all your time in, so that you put every ounce of your time into that, making sure it's done correctly. It's done in a way that the fans are going to be cool with, and not just, and not take on other jobs until that's done. It only makes sense that if you have this big task ahead of you, it makes sense with any job. Like if you have this big task ahead of you and you want to get some other things done too, but you're told by your boss, hey, you need to do this first before you move on to that, then your main focus is that very task in front of you, as big or as large as it is. That's your main priority before you do anything else. And I think honestly, that's the mistake Ian Flynn, in my opinion, is making. I mean, it's great that, Ian Flynn, like anybody, is jumping at the opportunity to write for other material. But if you know that one of the main things you're writing on is a massive story arc, which you started, then maybe you should focus more on that than anything else before you finish anything else. It only makes sense. It only makes sense in my opinion. That's what you do. You don't you don't just come out and work on that and work on other things, because you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to get confused and you're going to cause something to maybe drag on a lot longer than it should. I mean, already, and I don't know if Lance brought this, I think Lance brought this up, I'm not really sure, but already you had delays with the IDW book, and I don't know if maybe that's because Ian Flynn didn't submit the story work in time or the script in time or what, I don't know. So I get where a lot of what Lance is coming from with this video. I get where Alex Hitchcock and Dylan Thomas and all of them, Dumsville and all of them are coming from when it comes to Ian Flynn. I get it. Here's the thing. Lance even brings up the whole, brings up Ian Flynn's, as he puts it, biasness towards the Sally Acorn character. He feels that the only reason Sally was put into these situations, gunned down on the death egg at the end of the 225th issue, roboticized and turned into Mecha Sally from 230 to 247 and a few Sonic Universe issues in between, thus making it 50 plus issues almost. The reason she was put through all that, the reason, he basically had her head blown off in his Other M webcomic is because he favors Amy Rose. He has a favoritism towards Amy Rose. Lance even brings up the fact that the Amy Rose in the IDW book seems to have a lot of Sally's tendencies and personality. And again, it does feel very obvious when you look at it. I'm not saying it's true, but it does seem very obvious when you look at it. Now, here's the thing. Guys. All right. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I said, I see where Lance is coming from. I see where a lot of the people that agree with him are coming from. And that's their opinion. And some of it's, right on. Some of the things they talk about is right on. And I'm not denying that. I mean, like I said, he brings up not Lance, but Ian defending Jonathan Gray when Jonathan Gray went off on the fans during the whole Comicsgate ordeal. And the same thing and basically brings up Ian Flynn doing something similar before and somewhat after that. But when I look at this video and I listen to what Lance says, and he, again, in his own way, he brings up some decent points. Not saying everything he's saying is correct or true or anything like that, but there are some facts and everything that he does bring up that are justified, that are real, that are legit. Again, not everything he's saying in there is 100% true or factual, but some of the things are, from what I can tell. But the main thing I'm getting out of this, guys, is Lance is basically trying to send a message to Ian Flynn, to IDW, that if you want the comic to succeed, if you want it to go back to those top sales that it had, where in its first month, guys, it topped the likes of Green Arrow from DC Comics in sales. If you wanted to go back to that point, that sales point, that position it once had, or around that area of being in the top 10, top 15, top 25, top 5, whatever, then you need to listen to your fans. And that's the message I'm getting here. And the reason this is called timing, in response to Lance's latest video on Ian Flynn's current Sonic run, the reason I say this, or the reason I call it that, is because the timing is ironic and coincidental, because this past Thursday evening into officially all day Friday and the rest of this Valentine's Day / President's Day weekend, the Sonic movie came out. Now, it did make a premiere during early showings over the past weekend before this, but even so, it is May. The Sonic movie, recently came out and is making big bucks at the box office, to the point that it is possibly the #1 movie right now in America, if not the world. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan. I'm just saying that because the way it's being talked about, the way people are reporting the sales and the box office, returns and all that, or the revenue can't be disputed, I should say. That can't be disputed. But like I said, the message I get out of this is listening to your fans. That's the message I'm getting out of this. And when I say the timing is coincidental and ironic because of the Sonic movie, go back to when the first trailer came out almost a year ago. That trailer basically got so much backlash, thumbs down and everything. It got so much hate. Not because we were getting a Sonic movie, but mainly because of the design of Sonic. Sonic did not look anything like how people know him, how people ironically know him. If you look in the back here, you look here in the back, you see I have these Sonic collage posters up. These are collage posters that were put together when they were doing the soft reboot and everything. But if you look behind me, basically the way Sonic is designed, as a matter of fact, hold on. I think I got something here. Hold on, I got something here, guys. Hold on. Here we go. It's kind of a close representation, but it's going to do. But basically, the first trailer got so much hate and everything that the fan got so much hate, backlash, thumbs down and everything, because of the fact that the Sonic they were getting did not look like this Sonic. He did not look like this Sonic. And fans were upset about that. They were upset because of the fact that the Sonic they were getting originally was planned to be given to them, was supposed to legitimately look like a real Hedgehog. Yeah, that was the plan. Believe it or not, in case you guys don't know. That was the plan originally. The plan originally was Sonic was supposed to be portrayed as a real-life Hedgehog. That was the plan. That was the plan, basically. He was supposed to be portrayed as a real-life Hedgehog. Oops. And I got a little bit of a problem here. But like I said, he was supposed to be portrayed as a real-life Hedgehog. And I just ruined my glasses more than I did before. There we go. But like I said, he was supposed to be portrayed as a real-life Hedgehog at that time. That was the plan. And a lot of fans were not too thrilled with this. A lot of fans... Get it. Trying to rearrange stuff here, guys. Hold on. There we go. But a lot of fans were not too thrilled with that due to the fact that that's not how Sonic's supposed to look. He's not supposed to look like a real Hedgehog. He's supposed to look like he does, like I just showed you. So we ended up getting the design we have. And why? Because the director of the movie came out on social media, said, I hear you. We're going to take care of this. We're going to fix this. And next thing we know, we get the report that the movie's going to be delayed for another 2-3 months. So that because the movie originally was supposed to come out in November, but because of the backlash, they basically came out and said, okay, we're going to use the rest of the year. We're not going to release it in November. We're going to release it in February, which was this past weekend. And we're going to take this time for the rest of the year to fix Sonic's overall design and fix any other issues we may have with the movie, whether it's CGI, whether it was CGI, whether it was script, whatever. They were going to fix it, and that's what they did. Now, the only negative, unfortunately, is the studio that helped out shut down. The animation studio, I think, shut down. But I think a lot of the people that worked on the animation are going to probably go over to whatever the animation studio is going to help out and work on it there. And that being the sequel, because right now it definitely looks like we will be getting a sequel to the movie. In fact, hashtag Sonic Movie 2 is already trending on Twitter and social media. And that's no lie. No, that is no lie whatsoever. Like I said, that is no lie whatsoever. So like I said, that is no lie whatsoever. But anyway, yeah, it's basically the fact that it's basically the fact that what was I saying? It's basically the fact that when you think about it. Hold on, while I do something here for a second. Oh yeah, that's all I was looking for. There you go. But when you think about it, like I said, when you think about it, basically, like I said, you could definitely. How do I put this? What was I trying to say? Oh yeah. But when you think about it, the only reason that happened, the only reason the director came out, made the announcement they were going to hold back, they were going to wait until February, which, like I said, was this past weekend. And I think the reason I got distracted there was I was typing up some stuff, looking up some stuff, linking the video on Twitter to other people. But when you think about it, the reason it, as I was saying, the reason it basically, ended up in that predicament was because the fans spoke up, and the director basically said, "Okay, we hear you. We're going to take care of this," and that's why the movie was originally. Again, that's what I was trying to get at. The movie originally was supposed to come out in November, but because of the backlash that the trailer got and everything, they decided to hold off until now, until they got everything, like I said earlier, everything correct. They wanted to make sure everything was correct and everything before they released the movie. And that's why, the movie, and when you look at the movie now, as I said, it is a box office success. And a lot of people are crediting that to the creative team listening to the fans. And like I said, and I think this is where I left off, Sonic Movie 2 is already trending on Twitter and social media because it is a huge success. And a lot of people are crediting the fans for coming out and making that happen because they spoke up and said, look, we're not going to support this movie if you're going to keep it this way. If you're going to make Sonic, look this way, we're not going to support it. So, so a lot of fans are, so a lot of fans are accepting or acknowledging the fact that, yeah, we're part of the reason. And I think, and what's funny is you have the cast from James Marsden, Jim Carrey, and a few others, and Ben Schwartz. You have the directors, the creative staff behind it, all crediting the fans for helping make this happen because, basically the fans, as I said, came out and said, look, we're not going to support this movie. This movie's going to bomb on you because you're not listening. You're not giving us the Sonic that we want. You're not making Sonic the way he should look. And, a lot of fans would, and what's funny is you have a lot of critics, a lot of people being like, no, 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 Sonic shouldn't be succeeding and all that. You guys shouldn't have interfered. That. You have some people that are bittersweet about it. So, what have you. But anyway, though, what I was trying to get at, and I know I sounded like I rambled on, I was going all over the place. I do apologize. But what I was trying to get at is the reason I named this video Timing is because of the timing of the whole situation. Because I think the message that Lance is trying to get in this, and this is what I was saying earlier, is if IDW wants this comic to succeed, if it wants to get back to that top tier it once was when it first released when it first released the comic book under it, when it first released, what I'm trying to get at, when it first released the first issue under its umbrella, if they want to get back to that top tier, then they need to do, and this is what I was trying to get at, they need to do what Paramount did, what the creative team did. They need to listen to the consumer. They need to listen to the fans. And when the fans say, if you do this, you're going to see success. If you go this way, you're going to see success. And one thing that Lance brought up that, again, whether you agree with the guy or you don't, one of the factual things he brought up was the sales went from being this to being this. It went from being on top to being, it basically went from being to the top to the bottom. And he basically blames the fact that Ian Flynn is not listening to the fans. And it's not just because of his ego, in my opinion. It's also because of the fact that he's taken on all these other projects. When if you're doing, like I said earlier, if you're going to be working on something massive like this, you need to focus on that massive project, on that massive job you got going first before you do anything else. Basically, he's taking on too much, especially when one of the things he's taking on is a multi-part, year-and-a-half story arc that sounds like it's going to wrap up within the next couple of months. We hope. But I don't really know. I can't really say, but and again, I know I sound like a ramble. I'll go all over the place here. I do apologize. That's why I said this was uncut and unscripted on the fly. But basically, when I look at Lance's video here, again, the message I'm getting here is it's not just Ian. It's not just the fact that he feels Ian's ego is killing the franchise. It's also the fact that he feels Ian Flynn is not listening to the fans, and that if Ian would just do that, if he would just listen to the fans just once, listen to what they have to say, hear their ideas, hear their suggestions, then he might have a big hit on his hands when it comes to this book and other books that he's working on. And IDW needs to take that to heart. That's the message I'm getting here. Again, you could say, again, you can agree with Lance all you want. You could like the guy, you can not like the guy, but he has his own opinions. But when he presents his own opinions on stuff, That's his right. And if he part of his opinions, whether you agree with them or you don't, have some facts to them, have some legit facts, from what I could tell, I think you should just give the guy a chance, or someone or a fan like him a chance, and listen to what they have to say. And again, I'm not trying to say that Lance is right in everything he says. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Dylan Thomas is right in what he says. I'm not saying Dumbsville is right in what he says. Or anything, or any of the things they say. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying mainly is they have their own opinions, and sometimes their own opinions are very factual. And I think honestly, my opinion again is it's not just Ian Flynn's ego that's getting in the way here. I think honestly, it's the fact that he's taking on other projects, and those other projects are basically, how do I put it, deferring him away from the Sonic comic book to the point that when he comes back to it, he's taking his time. Like a lot of people look at the Zombot story arc and they feel it should have been done a long time ago. Like we shouldn't have to go through all this. We shouldn't have to see Vanilla or Vanilla or most of the Chaotix or Shadow or Rouge infected by this virus, you know, for so long that it takes up to what after the 25th issue just for all of it to culminate. We shouldn't have to wait on, you know, shouldn't have to wait, on, the comic shouldn't have to be delayed, possibly because of um, said reasonings. Again, I'm not saying that's true or not, but I think, and it is late, guys, so I do apologize. It's about 1:18 in the morning, so I do apologize. It is late, and I do apologize if I'm rambling a lot, so that's on me. But again, what I'm getting at, is the fact that what I get from Lance's video here is not just a disdain, well, not a disdain, but kind of a distrust in Ian Flynn and what Ian does. But I think what I get from him is a message being sent to not just Ian Flynn and the other writers on the Sonic comic, but mostly to IDW, that you need to listen to your consumers like Paramount did. You need to listen to them like the creative team behind the Sonic movie did. You need to listen to them and give them what they want. If you say, Ian Flynn, that the freedom fighters are going to come in, then you need to bring them in. You need to listen to the fans, and the fans say, we want the freedom fighters. We want Sally. We want Rotor. We want Antoine. We want Bunnie. Bring them in. That's what you do. If fans are saying we want this, or we want shorter stories or stories that just get to the point and don't drag on for so long, you do that. And that's the message I'm getting here. I'm getting that message. And here's the thing. I think anybody listening or watching this knows that if Ian Flynn does eventually if Ian Flynn or anybody else working on the book does eventually come out and say, yes, they're coming, the freedom fighters are coming, and in one issue we get some kind of acknowledgement or reference of their existence, that moment, or should I say that panel with that line in it, will viral across the internet. And that one issue, just because of that one panel, will sell a lot. Because at least with that one issue, you're acknowledging, yes, they exist in this timeline. They exist in this continuity. And I think that's all fans are wanting. That's all they want. It's not the fact that, here's the thing, it's not that there are not fans. Here's the thing. it's not that there aren't fans out there that don't think Ian can't do a good story, even if he has multiple jobs on his hands. There's not. I mean, I'm not saying the fans out there that don't believe that. There are. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think there are fans out there that don't think Ian can't do a good story, even if he has other stories he's working on. Because he can. He's proven that. He's proven in the past that he could do that. But the thing is, Ian has done a lot of stuff. Ian has done a lot of stuff in the past that some fans have agreed with and some fans haven't. And again, all these fans want in return, all they want is for Ian to listen to them. Because to them, it sounded like at the start, when Ian first got into the comic business, it sounded like he was doing exactly that. He was listening to the fans, he was giving fans what they wanted, but then all of a sudden that just went off the rails and he started to do his own thing. He started getting involved with other projects. And it's basically, in the eyes of people like Lance and Dylan and others, led us to where we are today. So, again, I can't verify if that's true or not. But pretty much, if you look at a lot of what's going on, if you follow a certain timeline, it kind of does add up. But overall, the message I'm getting here again is I believe what what Lance is trying to say is you need to listen to your fans. You listen to the fans, you listen to your consumers, you do as they suggest, and maybe you might see something in return that will be a positive outcome. Be positive revenue. That's the message I'm getting. Because he feels that if Ian Flynn keeps, letting his ego, in Lance's opinion, run wild, that's not going to benefit the comic. It's not going to benefit the IDW comic. It's not going to benefit the franchise overall. So I think, honestly, again, he makes some good, valid points, whether you like the guy or you don't. And we have to wait and see. And again, as I've said in a lot of my videos, we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. And, we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens here. But I would suggest listening to Lance's video, watching it, listening to it. You can find it on YouTube. It's called, I think the title of it is, if I can find it here, excuse me, it's How One Man's Ego is Killing Sonic the Hedgehog. And then Dylan Thomas has the same thing on the same video, but it's called Has Ian Flynn Ruined the Sonic Comics? So check those out. That's basically the same video. But yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I would definitely. But again, I would check this out. Whether you like the people, they have their opinion, have the right to their opinions. And again, we'll have to wait and see what occurs. But honestly, again, like I said earlier, I see where Lance is coming from. Brings up some good points. But I think it's also contributing to the fact. But I also think the reason Ian is not doing as good as he used to with the comic is he's moved on to other projects. And I think that's what's hurting it. Ian Flynn is taking on way too much. And I could see that's being an ego problem for anybody, thinking, oh, I can handle this, no problem whatsoever. When in factuality, they don't, or they can't. So I could see where he's coming from. when it comes to the ego perspective, but I think it's mostly because Ian Flynn believes, and he has a right to, as much as I hate to say that, he has a right to, believes he can handle all this. And in reality, in factuality, in reality, he can't. So, but anyway, though, guys, that's really all I'm going to say. I mean, I know I sound like I ramble and went all over the place. It is late. It is 1:18 in the morning. It was 1:18. It's actually it was 1:13, I should say, earlier. It's 1:18 now, or 1:19. So again, anyway, though, guys, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Check out Lance and Dylan's videos at the titles I just gave you, which is how one man's ego is killing Sonic the Hedgehog, which is Lance's video, and it's the same video under Dylan Thomas's title of Has Ian Flynn Ruined the Sonic Comics? So, check those videos out, guys. If you get a chance, I think you'll really enjoy them. And that's all I'm going to say. So, again, guys, that's just my response. As all over the place, as ramblish as it was. I mean, I think honestly, the message I'm getting here is listen to the fans, because, again, the timing is just ironic that, with the Sonic movie coming out and the message coming across with that is the reason it's succeeding, or the reason everybody is on board with it even before it came out, is because, the director, the creative staff, and, behind it, and Paramount themselves listened to the fans and went and gave the fans what they wanted. That I believe that's the message, in my opinion, that Lance is trying to get across here. That if you listen to the fans, Ian, you don't let your ego get in the way, and you give the fans what they want, you might see something in return that will be a positive. That will be positive in the long run. So, again, that's just what I see. I think it's also the fact that he's taken on too much, and he believes, in his opinion, that he can handle all of it, and that's probably where the ego situation comes from. So that's really all I'm going to say, guys. But again, check out Lance's video, check out Dylan's video, and that's all about it, guys. I'm going to go lie down. It's late. I got to go to work at 10:15. I got to be at work at 10:15. So that's about it. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And thank you all for watching. And if you're watching afterwards, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Again, I do apologize for rambling all over the place and, kind of not making sense at times. Like I said, it is late. So, but let me know what you guys think down below about this whole situation. Do you agree with Lance? Do you agree with Lance and Dylan and all of them? Or do you think maybe it's what I said it was? It's the fact that he's taken on too much, and his ego, his own belief is he can handle it with no problem. And do you think maybe part of and do you think also the message we're getting from Lance's video, if any of you have already seen it, is basically the message of do what Paramount did, and that's listen to your fans and give them what they want, and do right by them. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Thank you all for watching, and all have a good night, and I am out.